Hey guys, my name is Jonathan Henderson with Pressure Washing Marketing Pros. In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you should be handling and treating every single lead inside of your exterior cleaning business. Because one of the greatest difficulties that I see in the exterior cleaning industry is that a lot of guys, treat every single lead the same, and then they wonder why they're not closing these leads. And they also wonder why their marketing isn't as effective. Because in this video, I'm going to break down the three main ways that you probably get leads in your site inside of your exterior cleaning business. And that's going to be on the digital landscape. And we're going to talk about Google ads, Facebook ads, website and SEO. Also, guys, we're going to, talk about offline marketing. What is offline marketing? That's going to be your yard signs, your door hangers, your truck wraps, and even events that you go to. And then the third one is going to be repeat and referral customers. And we're going to talk about that and how you should market and handle those clients as well. Because a lot of guys will handle these leads exactly the same way. And therefore, what you're not going to do is you're not going to close at a consistent rate, and you're not going to have a marketing system or strategy that not only nurtures these leads, guys, but also allows you to close at a higher rate and also make your marketing more effective. And that's what we're going to talk about, because when we break down each of these lead sources, guys, in those three different categories, we're going to talk about what is the intent of that customer. Like, why are they reaching out to you? What's their intent? Then we're going to talk about that trust level that they have at the very beginning. Like, how much do they trust you? Then we're going to talk about the common mistakes that I generally see whenever exterior cleaning businesses are handling these leads. And then fourth, we're going to talk about how to handle these exact leads. So guys, get ready for a jam-packed video, because there's going to be some things that you guys have probably never heard before, especially the thing that I'm going to talk about towards the end of this as well. So the first thing I want to talk about, guys, is the digital marketing lead sources. And I'll start with Google ads, because that on the digital marketing side of things, guys have a difficult time closing these type of leads a lot of the time. And so with Google ads, what's the intent of a customer that's coming to you with Google ads? Well, it's transactional urgency. These people probably searched up pressure washing near me and they need the issue solved right now. And so you have to remember that and be cognizant of that whenever you're talking to these individuals, because it's usually driven by weather, seasonality, HOA, warnings, or even events like my mom's coming into town, or it's Memorial Day, or it's Thanksgiving time frame, it's Halloween. So their priority is going to be a fast resolution, not loyalty. They didn't do any research, guys. They simply went on Google and said, hey, here's the first company. Now, what's their trust level with you whenever they first reach out to you, like a client or a customer that has went ahead and found you through Google ads? Well, it's usually extremely low. They clicked your ad because it was there, not because of your reputation. They didn't look you up beforehand. So every word on your site and your ad is assumed as sales talk, right, until proven otherwise. So you're going to be competing with 3 or 5 different companies. They're going to go down that list. And I even see it, guys, clients that we have in multiple cities, like right where we have multiple clients in one singular city. I've seen it to where our clients have gotten like the same customer, right? And I'm saying, man, may the best man win at that point. And because, guys, guess what? These customers are going down that list and they're going to see who's going to be responsive. And so the biggest common mistakes that I see on how people handle Google ads leads are, they have a slow follow-up. Like anything after 10 to 25 minutes, you have a very low chance of closing that customer or that client, because guess what? They're going to hit up the list, and whoever contacts them first and gets that first introduction may have that chance to go ahead and get, whether it's a quote or even a sale over the phone in that sense, because guess what? Their main intent is transactional urgency, right? So urgency is the biggest player here when it comes to a Google ads lead. And so treating them like a referral, I see a lot of guys where they go through the same process of treating them like a referral, where it's like, hey, I'm just following up, or they don't have a sense of urgency when they're talking to that prospect or that potential customer when it comes to Google ads. They treat them like it's a referral, and you don't want to do that. You want to have some sense of urgency. Now, another common mistake that I see guys have when handling Google ads leads is they don't have any attribution. So what does that even mean? They don't even know where these leads are coming from. So that is why you want to go ahead and have a whisper message, which I'll talk about, which a whisper message is what we do for our clients, so that whenever somebody calls them from a Google ads, it says Google ads lead. Because if you don't properly attribute that it's a Google Ads lead, you're going to handle every single lead the same. And you're probably going to hear me talk about lead attribution plenty of times, guys, throughout this video. And so the biggest common mistake that I see as well is that guys just send over email quotes. They don't even, so when a person like fills out a contact form, you know how many of our clients, because we track a lot of that stuff for our clients, you know how many of our clients just send an email sometimes? And I have to say, hey man, stop just sending them an email. That's why you're not closing these leads, because guess what? You didn't call this customer. You didn't even text them, because texting even has a higher chance of a response. But they'll just email them and say, hey, can you send me over pictures? Like, genuinely think about it. How many of you guys check your personal emails? You probably don't check it often. And how do I know, guys? Because of marketing that we used to do in the past, and also my own personal life. I mean, I check my work email consistently, but I don't check my personal email often. So if somebody's trying to get to me through my personal email, it's going to take quite some time for me to get back to them. And so that is why you don't want to go ahead and just send quotes through an email and then just wait. So how do you handle leads like this? Well, first off, you need to go ahead and use a system that properly attributes and tracks these. You know, for our clients, we have what converts, but also in your CRM, you want to tag these people as Google Ads leads. As I talked about earlier, you want to have a whisper message. So with a whisper message, that's going to go ahead and allow you to see that it's a Google Ads lead so that you can, handle it with urgency. And then after that, you want to go ahead and set up and route all your Google Ads form submissions to your CRM, so that at that point you get notified for that. They're there, you can contact them, and you want to go ahead and even have an automated fast follow-up message. And so a lot of the time you'll have the text callback feature that systems like High Level have, to where somebody can go ahead and fill out your contact form, and then immediately when they fill out a contact form, they get a text, right? It's like, hey, here's a text right here. Like, when, are you available to talk on the phone right now? There's different ways that you can sequence this. But the first and the main important thing, guys, is to have instant contact with these type of customers. Now, let's talk about Facebook and Instagram ads right now, right? So what's the intent behind a potential customer that's reaching out to you through Facebook ads and Instagram ads? Well, it's interrupted driven curiosity, right? So they were interrupted on their social media profile and they got a little bit curious. We always see it all the time, guys. And so a lot of these customers are interested in the result because they saw you, cleaning maybe a really dirty driveway, and then they saw the result of that and they said, hey, I need that. And sometimes these might be guys that usually would go on Google or somewhere else to go ahead and look up these services. But guess what? Your video caught their eye and it just reminded them that, hey, I do need to reach out to an exterior cleaning company, right? But you're fighting for attention, more than commitment at that point. And so what's the trust level that these people have with you when they see you on Facebook? It's very low. So guys, I will say, like, on the hierarchy of digital marketing leads, Facebook leads you have to really nurture. And so the trust level is very low. Why is that? Because they don't know your company. They didn't even know that they wanted the service just at that point because it was interrupted driven. And so you're just a visual on their Facebook, feed at that point. So they know they don't know you, they haven't searched for you, and they don't necessarily believe anything that you said in your ad. You're gonna have to go ahead and show that and prove that to them. So what's the most common mistake that I see, guys, whenever they're handling these Facebook ad leads? Well, first off, they don't get back to them immediately. Just like we talked about earlier with the Google Ads leads, guess what, guys? You need to get on these leads fast when it comes to that. And so you don't need to treat these as if they're a lead like intent based. Even for Google Ads, those people need that service because it's transactional urgency. But with Facebook ads, it may not necessarily be an urgent thing. It may be a want. So whenever they do want it, right, that's when they'll take action. And it may not be at that moment whenever they contacted you. They may just be in that curiosity stage at that point, which you have to remember that. And so another common mistake that I see is that there's no lead filtering. Sometimes when people run Facebook ads, it's like, just message me. And then they wonder why they get 90 leads and only 25 of them were credible, because you had no way of filtering these leads. And so you have to have a lead filtering. So that might be like, what's your zip code? You have to make them take that action to actually filter out the bad seeds from the good ones in that sense. And so that is why you want to go ahead and have a filtration system. And also, you need to go ahead and have like instant DMs. I tell a lot of guys, and there's there's systems and tools like that, because I'll just go to how to handle these leads now, because now I'm going to give you guys advice on how to handle these Facebook ad leads. So with Facebook, you can go ahead and attach it to Zapier as well, and you can instantly send these contacts into your CRM, and you can also, attach it to something like High Level as well, to where you can instantly send people a DM to go ahead and filter them out. So even if you're running messaging ads, you can use platforms like MiniChat or High Level Chatbot to pre-qualify these people by asking them questions like their zip code, their services that they need, right? And this is going to go ahead and filter out those people that may be bots or people that are very low effort, that just put their name, their email, and their phone number, and they're like, hey, because I know we've all gotten it before, like, I never filled out that contact form, I never messaged you, and you're like, dude, I have it right here, you messaged me, man. But it's very low effort, so you want to make it more high effort. And also, you need to have something, you need to have like a sequence or an automation in place at that point, to where you're going to nurture those leads as well. Because as I talked about earlier, guys, they're in that curiosity stage a lot of the time with Facebook. It's not driven by urgency. So therefore, you need to have a plan for how you will handle these leads afterwards accordingly. And so if you don't reply, and if they don't reply within like 72 hours, then at that point, you need to put them in that sequence. Because guess what, guys, for Facebook ads, you're going to have to nurture them. And you might nurture them with more retargeting ads. You might nurture them, with another ad sequence or another set of ads that you have, right? And so you want to go ahead, and the name of the game with Facebook, if there's one thing that you guys take away from this, is contact them fast and realize, guys, it's not urgent and you need to nurture them. And so the next thing I want to go ahead and talk about is your Google Business Profile. So with the Google Business Profile, how do you handle these leads? Well, first off, let's talk about the intent that these kind of, potential customers have when they're reaching out to you through the Google Business Profile. So it's high service intent, but it may be a little bit lower urgency than ads, but it's still like high because they went out and searched for it, right? So they searched on your service, clicked on you in the map pack at that point, and browsed, probably based on your reviews, some of your photos, and how close you were to them. And so they're trying to filter out who looks credible and, the guys that are just like exist on the, on the internet, right? And so what is the trust level? It's medium, because they trust Google, guys, and they trust the reviews, but that's about it. They don't trust your brand necessarily just yet. So you might say, man, Jonathan, well, our reviews look great. And sometimes people wonder about that. They say, well, how did this guy close this lead over me? And I have more reviews than him. Because it's not just about reviews, guys. You can be the most highly rated at that point. It's going to be about your overall brand. And so if you do have a lot of 5 stars, good photos, they'll listen. But, at that point, they're not fully committed yet to your business. So that's where you have to show, your authoritativeness, and you have to show, your expertise and your professionalism. And so what's some of the most common mistakes that I see people make when it comes to Google Business Profile leads? Well, they assume the lead trusts you just because of the reviews. And that can be further from the truth. As I said, guys, you still have to prove yourself. Just because you have a lot of reviews doesn't mean that you don't need to prove yourself, and that you should just be like, well, I have the most reviews in my area. You should go ahead and trust me at that point. And so that's one thing. Also, guys, like I said, it's about treating, it's not having a dedicated system, for attributing these leads that come to the Google Business Profile. That's something that you want to go ahead and do. And when it comes to responsiveness and how fast you should respond to them, it can be, I'm not saying, of course, for every single lead, guys, you want to make sure that you respond to them within 5 to 10 minutes. But when Google Business Profile, you can wait a little bit. I wouldn't wait over more than 24 hours, but like, let's say that you get back to this individual, an hour to 3 hours later, it's not going to necessarily hurt you as much, because as I said, you have the reviews, they searched you out for these services. And as you guys will find out in the next one that I'm talking about, when it comes to your website and organic SEO leads, right? Some of these people may be in a little bit of a research stage as well, even though they do need it. Like I said, it's not as urgent as Google Ads, but they still need it. They still searched out for it. So they still might be in a curiosity stage as well. And so how do you go ahead and handle these type of leads, guys? Well, of course, you use a tracking system like how we use for our clients, like What Converts or CallRail, whatever it may be, so that you can properly attribute these leads and then send them into your CRM with that. And so that's basically what you want to go ahead and do whenever you're handling these leads, guys. Get on top of it, educate appreciate them as well, because they're looking for just more of the reviews. They're looking about how you respond. They're looking about your availability. They're looking about your brand and who you are behind the reviews as well. So make sure that that's how you're handling these guys, because their intent is medium, but just one little miscommunication can mess up the whole thing. And so make sure that you're handling that with professionalism still, because I see a lot of guys get too comfortable handling the Google Business Profile leads because they say like, hey man, I have the most reviews, and they kind of put those guys on the back burner when you shouldn't. It's a gold mine with these type of customers. Now, the other one that I want to talk about as well, guys, is going to be organic SEO, website leads, AI recommendations. We can say that now, but these type of ones that get your website immediately and they go to your website, right? So these people are still going to be medium interest, right? They're going to be I say medium high interest. And why do I say that? Because they're probably vetting 1 to 3 people. And so these people are in a highly, these people are very research based. So they're going to look at your blogs. They're going to look at your about us page. They're going to go ahead and look at your photos. They're going to look at your processes, the type of content that you have on your website. They're going to look at the branding of your website as well. So they're looking for competence. So they're not just looking about price or availability at that point. Somebody with Google Ads, they might just look for price and availability immediately. These people aren't just looking for that. They're looking for the company that they can trust the most. That's why I say the website is so important, guys. It's the focal point for all of the marketing that you do, whether it's offline, referrals, digital. It all points back to your website. And so what's your trust level? Like I said, it's medium to high for trust level, especially depending on the site quality. If you have a low quality site, that might hurt their trust level in that sense. And so you want to make sure that your website's informative. You want to make sure that they feel like they make the smart choice. And so when it comes to your website, a lot of the time what you guys don't understand is that when that person submits their contact form, they basically already invested into you. So when they submit their information, through your website at that point, these people have essentially chosen your business. And so how you handle that is gonna, you want to show the most professionalism and competence, because these people, they may not care about the price. They want the most professional, trusted company. That's why they went through their whole process of researching you at that point, because it wasn't urgency based. And it could be urgency based, but they're not going to just make an urgent decision and not care about your brand and who you are as a company. They're going to care about that. And these people skew towards the sides of doing more research before they take action on something. And so one of the most common mistakes that I see that people make with these type of leads is they assume that these are hot leads. They assume that these people need this right now, and that might not be the case. And so they're still doing research. And so you need to often give them more information, because these seem to be information seeking type of customers, and not just the type of customers that are hey, with Google Ads, yes, they're hey, I'm urgency based. But with these type of people, don't assume that they're a hot lead. They could be a hot lead, right? I'm not talking about the women out here, guys, you know what I mean? But they could be a hot lead, right? And so another thing that you want to do is, I see a lot of these type of leads get mishandled, where you'll just send a cold estimate without diagnosing, or on the phone you don't have that urgency as well, or you're not conveying that urgency either. But you can't just send a cold estimate without diagnosing what they have first. Get in contact with this person, give them information. And so you also want to give them a personalized follow-up, because these are people that are information seekers. So they'll be able to sniff out if you're just sending them generic information at that point. And of course, on your website, you should have, what issue that they're looking to tackle when it comes to the exterior of their home. And so how do you handle these leads in that sense? Well, guys, obviously you want to route all of them to your CRM. Just as I talked about earlier, you can have a text back feature. So as soon as they submit their information, it gives them a text. Or if they call from the website, you want to have a whisper message so that and that you're prepared to be all right, that I'm prepared to give this person more information. And so you want to have a nurture flow, because a lot of these people are going to go ahead and accept you either going out and assessing their house for a quote. And so you want to make sure that you have a follow-up sequence in place afterwards, to where it's kind of here's some other, here's some testimonials, here's some before and afters that we have that basically address the issues that you need done with their home. So like if they're looking for a house wash and they got like hardy board siding, you might send them, you know, hardy board siding like before and after photos. You might go ahead and, you know, talk about some of the common challenges why they need to get it done. And so you need to have that automated follow-up sequence in place. And so guys, those are the main digital marketing ways that I see that exterior cleaning businesses get leads. And so that is how you're going to handle those digital marketing leads, guys, because now I'm going to move over to the offline marketing lead sources. And these are going to be, like I said, guys, your yard signs, your vehicle wraps, you know, flyers and door hangers, and even direct mail. And so we're going to go ahead and talk about these type of leads and how you should go about handling these leads. So let's start with the most common offline marketing way, which is going to be yard signs. And so these people have situational curiosity. They might be driving a Whole Foods at that point. They see your sign and they're like, hey, I'm going to take a picture of it, right? I'm going to take a picture of it and save it for later. And so for these people, you know, they know that you're local because obviously you have to, or they at least assume that you're local because they see your yard sign. And so the intent behind this is that it's situational curiosity or like neighborhood driven interest at that point. And so one thing, guys, when it comes to the trust level, it's kind of medium. It's medium. Like they see that you've been doing work, or they assume that you've been doing work in that area. And so they assume that you serve the neighborhood. So they're like, hey, this person may say, you know, this person may serve my neighborhood. I don't really know who they are. But the fact that they assume that you serve that neighborhood, then guess what, guys? It kind of gives them that medium interest. And so what are the common mistakes that I see guys have when they're handling these type of leads from yard signs? Well, number one, they have no tracking number on their yard sign, or sometimes their call to action on the sign is super small. And so I'll separate those in. So the first one's going to be they have no tracking, or they have like no CTAs. They have no way of getting contact. Like I've literally seen yard signs where guys do not have a way for the customer to contact them. They just have like their branding and that's it. And that's one of the most egregious mistakes that you can make when it comes to doing yard signs, guys. I don't know who's giving you guys this advice, but make sure that you have a way for customers to contact you. I don't see it very often, but I've seen it before. And now another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the common mistakes is not having a tracking number. Like, how are you going to know that your yard signs are working if you don't have a tracking number? When it comes to yard signs, guys, obviously volume does matter, and you need to have a strategy, which I'll talk about in a minute. But you need to have a tracking number so that you know it's effective. You don't want to, I see guys just put out yard signs and they say, I'm putting out yard signs, Jonathan, but I'm still slow. Well, maybe, or they say, I'm going to stop doing yard signs, man, and they haven't worked. Well, how do you know they haven't worked? Well, people just told me that they found me on Google. Well, yeah, they probably found you through the yard sign first, because I can tell you right now, my friend, you don't rank well on Google. You know what I mean? Like, I've been talking to people where they're like, well, they just say Google and, you know, I've just been doing yard signs. And it's like, dude, they probably first heard about your business because they saw your yard sign and then went to Google at that point, right? And people are just going to attribute that, like customers are just going to attribute that to Google. Like, oh, I heard about you from Google, when they didn't. What probably piqued their interest may have been that yard sign first. And so that's when you want to go ahead and make sure that you have a tracking number so that you can track if it's working or not. And then another thing that I go ahead and see is that they don't have a strategy at all. So you should have a strategy. And one thing that I like that Dave Carroll talks about, and we'll talk about it with direct mail too, is that you can look at the neighborhoods and the areas that you do the most service in. So in your CRM, you can go ahead and sort that out by like the zip codes or the neighborhoods that you go ahead and that you service most frequently. And that is where you should have the highest impact. And that's where you should put majority of your yard signs at, because those people are already familiar with your business. And so that is, you know, the single most common mistake I see is guys not having a tracking number and not having a strategy. So you should be putting out, you shouldn't just only be putting out signs after a job. You should be doing it before, during a job, at every single moment. That's where you should be putting out a yard sign. So that's one mistake that I see guys making. And so how do you, like, what can you do to handle these type of leads, guys? Well, first off, you should use a platform like Google My Maps So when I used to own a junk removal business, guys, we didn't just put out yard signs where we just put out yard signs. No, we actually had a strategy, and we use Google My Maps to where you can like put pins in certain areas so that we would know like route optimization, we would know like where our signs were, you know, because it gave us information and context, so that if we ran a Facebook ad, we're like, hey, on this My Map we see that we have yard signs in this particular neighborhood, maybe we should also run our Facebook ads in this neighborhood, because it makes our Facebook ads and our yard signs even more effective at that point. And so that's why you want to go ahead and use a tool like a My Map, or even in your CRM notes, to know where you have those yard signs out at. And so if you guys are also working at like in an HOA or another area like that, how do you handle these type of leads as well, guys? Of course, when it comes to the yard signs and all of that, and I'm going to show you guys kind of other strategies that you can do too, is that also do other marketing on top of it. So if you put yard signs in a certain area, guys, guess what? Put neighborhood flyers on there as well. Get door hangers out there also, guys, you know, like get those door hangers out there too, on top of having those yard signs. And when it comes to these type of customers, guys, like I said, it's situational. So when you're handling the sale, guess what, guys? You need to come across as professional, and those other kind of attributes that I talked about earlier, where it's like you have a fast response time. These people are probably going to go ahead and on your yard sign, make sure that you have your website. Make sure that you have your website on those yard signs, because those people are probably going to Google you, because they're probably going to take a picture of it. And so, you know, obviously, guys, when they do reach out to you, handle it accordingly. And you're not going to necessarily, you may not know when these people go ahead and hit you up at that point if you're not, you know, going ahead and properly tracking that. So that's why you want to track it, because I see yard sign leads get the most, you know, mishandled, because people aren't properly tracking them. So they don't know the type of urgency, you know, they don't know where they're coming from. They may start and they may stop marketing them prematurely. Now let's talk about vehicle wraps now, guys. Vehicle wraps. Now this, what is the intent behind a customer when it comes to like a vehicle wrap? Well, it's passive, right? So like a lot of the time they may just be like, okay, I recall that brand. So what they call that is passive brand recall. So like if you see a McDonald's all the time, guys, guess what? Eventually, and you see it on a commercial, you see it out there on the street, guess what, guys? When you have the inkling for like, I want a burger, they're going to be the first people that you hit up. And that's the same thing when it comes to like your truck wraps and different things like that. Like this is slow burn marketing. Like these type of customers aren't going to go ahead and really hit you up immediately in that sense. They're really just not. So they might take a picture of your truck, and it's going to be something like, when I need the need, because we've all done that, guys. I've done that. I've been out and about and I've seen like a really cool design, and then I'm like, man, I might need like that sunroof repair, who knows? And I take a picture of it. You know how many photos I have on my phone just like this? And so your customer is probably the same way, guys. And so what's the trust level that this customer has with you, you know, when it comes to your vehicle truck, right? It's moderate to high, you know, depending on how frequent that they see you and how many impressions that they see. So or it could be low to high. It really just varies. So if this their first time seeing your truck wrap, then guys, guess what? They're going to have low intent. But if it's like their 80th time seeing it, then it's going to be very high. They know that you do a lot of work. They know that you're consistently in their neighborhoods, and they obviously see your trucks, so they know that you're credible, or you'd be out of business. They wouldn't see your trucks, right? If you weren't doing a good job, they wouldn't see your trucks at that point. So one thing, guys, that you want to go ahead and do is like, you know, you want to have a clean truck wrap. You want to make your CTAs visible, because one thing that can go ahead and lose that trust when it comes to your vehicle wraps and these different things are going to be what? Having a dirty, outdated wrap, signals, making it sloppy. So make sure that all of that is consistent, because it just brings me to my common mistakes, is that sometimes I see truck wraps with no CTAs as well. And so make sure that you have those CTAs. You know, you're going to have a website on your truck wrap. You're going to have a phone number as well. And so people, when it comes to this, and I don't want Dan Antonelli getting on to me, because you know that's a king of branding over at Kick Charge Creative, and I've read his book. But the biggest thing that I just see, guys, is that a lot of people are going to take a picture of these things. And so I don't know the last time that I saw a truck wrap and I immediately called them. So it's good to have a phone number on there so that they can take a picture of it and remember it. And so that's usually what a lot of your customers are going to end up doing, or even your website. And so even half the time, guys, like I say have CTAs, but if you have a really awesome truck wrap, like you could still get leads, because if people love the way that your truck wrap looks at that point, they're gonna just research your business on Google, and then bam, That's why I also say, I don't know how people would handle these leads in terms of having like a tracking number on them at that point. But at the end of the day, you may have a tracking number, you may not. If you have that kind of money to where you can go ahead and make sure that if you lose that tracking number, that you also make sure that update all your truck wraps, go ahead and do so. And so, it's 50-50 on how I see that. I just think that you should just be, you should have the branding down in place. I don't think that you necessarily need to go ahead and track and record all of your calls or record, every single truck wrap lead, right? But that impact that your brand can have. And so, one thing that I think that you should go ahead and have on your website that I see that's a common mistake is that you should say truck wrap. As if you ask the question on your website, how did people find you? You should go ahead and have an option for truck wrap at that point. And some people may still say Google because they saw your truck wrap first and then they went ahead and Googled you. Right, and then that's where you handle the lead accordingly as well, guys. And so when you handle these kind of leads, guys, just know that these are slow burners. Be professional, handle them in that kind of way, guys. And in your CRM, whatever it may be, like I said, you can say truck wrap or not, but I don't think that this is as big of a proponent to track when it comes to your truck wrap. It's really going to be about the impressions. It's going to really be about the brand awareness so that you trigger them to take action maybe in another source of marketing that you're doing, whether that's Google ads, whether they even see your yard sign at that point, or, they reach out or they ask a friend if they've ever heard about you. When it comes to the truck wrap, it's going to just really trigger them to take action in another way, whether that's going to be, asking their friend, as I just said, or other means. Now let's talk about flyers and door hangers and how you should handle these type of customers as well, guys. So these type of customers, when it comes to flyers or door hangers, the intent, if they reach out to you, guys, if they reach out to you and the intent behind it is it's mild interest, mild interest, right? And really it's going to be triggered by, timing. Really a lot about timing. Like, are they in the market for it? Because a lot of guys, when they come to that, they're like, my flyer's not as effective. Guys, really, when it comes to the effectiveness of a flyer and that customer reaching out to you, it's really going to be about the timing. Timing's going to be the best play here. And so their intent is kind of mild interest, and they're also, just like the yard sign, they're going to assume that you work in their local area. So their trust level with you guys is going to be low to medium. They didn't reach out to you, they didn't come out to you. So therefore, guys, you still need to go ahead and make sure that you're professional, that you hit up these leads immediately and as soon as possible in that sense, right? If you found out that they're contacting you from a flyer or a door hanger, they're going to be calling you. So be professional, really show your brand and make sure that you're going to have a follow-up sequence, which I'll talk about later. And so what are the common mistakes that I see guys make when it comes to flyer and door hanger type of leads? Well, number one, again, guys, as I said, you want to have a tracking number. You want to be able to properly attribute, if it's working or if it's not. So, you don't want to have an over-designed flyer, guys. Like, you want to make it to where people can contact you immediately when it comes to that, like immediately, right? And so dropping door hangers without real presence in the neighborhood, if you don't really have real presence in that neighborhood, it's gonna, like, people are gonna even have even lower trust for you in that. That's why I talked about earlier, guys, have a strategy. Because the door hangers and flyers are pretty much like how it is that I talked about earlier for the yard signs. Like, you need to have a strategy when you're doing this, so that if you have a CRM, see the neighborhoods that you're already working in, see where you're already running Facebook ads in, because it's going to have a higher impact, especially if you use flyers to supplement your digital marketing efforts as well. And so you want to have that, and you want to have a follow-up system, because guys, these guys aren't going to, like, they may not trust you as much. And the goal in all of this, guys, is that you want to just have a follow-up process for every single customer, because guess what, guys? Most of these customers aren't hot leads like that. They're not going to instantly go ahead and utilize your services immediately a lot of the time, unless they're a repeat or referral, which we'll talk about here soon. And so how should you handle these type of leads that find you through a flyer or a door hanger, right? Well, obviously, guys, you want to go ahead and when you're handling these type of leads, guys, be as professional as possible, and make sure that you have an automated follow-up sequence, and make sure that you're also tagging them correctly in your actual CRM too, so you know what neighborhood they're in, and so that in the future you can go ahead and market to them as well. But you want to have an automated system for a follow-up. So also what you want to go ahead and do, and I always say this, guys, I always say this, is you want to run a second, a third, a fourth wave of door hangers in that area as well. And that's what I mean by automated too. Not only digitally, right, to where you're emailing them, you're having SMS, but also you want to go ahead and make sure that you have a strategy in place to where you're going to run second, third, fourth, fifth waves of these door hangers at that point, so that you keep building up that trust, that credibility, that brand awareness as well, because they're probably not going to close immediately at that. So you need to make sure that you have an automated follow-up sequence, on the back end of that as well. And it really goes back to the same thing, guys, when it comes to direct mail. Same thing when it comes to direct mail. I won't go into it as much when it comes to that, because it's the same thing. Medium. So what's their intent? They're curiosity based. They saw your stuff in the mail, and they're like, hey, I might take action on this, or I may save this and put it on top of my desk, or put it on the kitchen counter, and I'll hit them up later. And so usually it's most effective when it's triggered by a need or a season, right? So for example, guys, one of the most common mistakes is that I see guys send EDDM not timing the market, or not even having the most service appropriate. So like, don't run a gutter cleaning special in the springtime, guys. Run it in the fall, and that really depends on where you're at. But majority of people that do exterior cleaning business or have exterior cleaning companies, right? A lot of the businesses are doing gutter cleaning in the fall time, like late summer, fall time, and even sometimes in the winter, if it's not too cold. And so make sure that that service matches up with that as well when you're doing direct mail. And so once again, guys, you want to have a strategy. You want to be consistent when it comes to that. When it comes to the common mistakes that I see, you want to be really consistent, just like you are with flyers, door hangers, and yard signs as well. But more so with the door hangers and flyers, you also want to be as consistent as possible. You want to have a tracking number on there as well. And so how do you handle those leads? Just like how you handle the door hanger ones as well. Make sure that you have a process in place, guys, right, for the follow-up and automated sequences, because those people are probably not going to hit you back, or they're probably not as urgent. So therefore, it's not going to just be like a one-call close. You're going to have an automated sequence to go ahead and follow up with these people. And that's why so many guys don't have effective closing ability when it comes to EDDMs, when it comes to yard signs, when it comes to flyers and door hangers. Because guess what? They're not properly tracking it. They're treating it the same. And that's the whole spiel of this video, guys, as you guys can see right now. So make sure that you're tracking out. And you know what you guys can do too? You can leverage EDDM tools and USPS so that you have route-based targeting as well. That's one of the most common mistakes and things that I see guys not doing, is that you want to make it route-based as well. And you can also look at people's income so that you can also go ahead and target the right neighborhoods and the right areas for the type of customer avatar that you want to go ahead and serve. And so that's another thing that you guys can do with USPS. But it's pretty much the same play as it is for flyers. Now, guys, let's go ahead and talk about local sponsorships and events, because that's still offline, right? And so the intent about these type of customers is that they're going to have very low intent initially. It's just like when I go speak at certain events, guys, like, some guys are like, hey, Jonathan, they're very hot. So I'd say very low to high, in my opinion, when you go to these local sponsorships, or you might go to these trade shows that you're going to, right? Or these fairs that you go to and that. And so first, it can be very low to very high when it comes to these type of intent for these type of customers and that. So, but it's really about a long-term, brand building, right? And so these people right here, they don't really know your brand as much also. So you got to treat them in a certain kind of way. And it's going to be the follow-up action that's going to have the most impact, not the initial contact. And so what's a trust level? It's usually medium to high, because your community presence will build trust over time. As you guys see with these type of leads, you're not going to just handle them like a hot lead like that. You're going to have to build that trust up. With these people, they're looking for that trust. And so you really want to go ahead and, be a part of that community, show your expertise and have those testimonials for people that are in that are in their area, in their location as well, guys, because these people are going to look for that trust. It's not going to be urgency driven a lot of the time, unless it's like a commercial building as well, but they still might have 6 to 7 or 8 vendors that they're vetting out. And so that's why you still have to build that trust and build that professionalism as well. And so one common mistake that I see guys make at offline events, like, job fairs and trade shows and different things like that, is that they have no system to capture leads at events. because a lot of the leads that you're going to get at these events, guys, they're not, like I said, they're not going to go ahead and immediately take action. Therefore, you need to have a follow-up plan in place to where you're going to follow up with them afterwards, right? So you may have a passive setup, right? And so you may not even be asking for the list of names. These are things that you don't want to do. The biggest thing when you're at an event is make sure that you, number one, track, or not track, but have a reliable way of capturing all those leads, right? Name, phone number, email, company, like if they're with a company, in the company that they're with, right? Because it's going to be a slow burner. Guys, when I had a junk removal company, in that sense, when we went to these trade shows, we didn't get a lot of these property managers or owners in that sense right off the bat. Even when they contacted us, guys, they were curious. It was curiosity. Now, of course, there were some that were like higher interest, but at the end of the day, how you're going to treat these leads, guys, is you have to nurture them. You know, so we would send them gift baskets, we would send them postcards and these different things, and even send an email like once a month, and we would finally close them maybe after 3 or 4 months, right? So you want to make sure that you have that on the back end. And so you also want to go ahead and make sure that you tag these people properly in your CRM, right? You have QR codes set up at your booth, all of that. Just an easy way to track, to have lead capture at that point. So yes, guys, and you can even make sure that you prepare certain event-specific offers too. I forgot to mention that when you're doing trade show type of events, you want to make sure that you have an event-specific offer that they can only get at that event, because that's going to have them take more action and be a faster kind of lead. So that's how you would handle that type of lead. You would prepare event-specific offers and different things like that, like whether that's an add-on service, a discount, a free giveaway, whatever it may be. That you want to make sure that you have that in there. And you guys can even do giveaways when you're at the event, so that you can just capture that lead information as well. So make sure that you're being strategic when you're going to these type of events as well, guys. And so now, and lastly, I'm going to talk about referral based and repeat customer lead sources. And you guys might say, Jonathan, these are the easiest leads to close. Like, these people already know us. Like, how are you going to teach us more? Just wait, guys. I'm going to teach you some gold nugget information that you may or may not have ever heard before in that, right, guys? So there's some unique ways on how you can go ahead and handle these. Let's get right into it, guys. Let's talk about direct referrals, whether that's a friend, neighbor, client recommendation. What's the intent? It's high. They have high intent, guys, because these leads chose you based off of someone that they trust. So guys, you got to immediately get into it. The decision to contact you after hearing about a good experience didn't come from research or impulse. It came from that trust. So they already expect you to be the provider. They just want confirmation. They just want to confirm that, like, okay, I see Billy Bob Joe, trust them. Well, guess what? I'm going to hit them up. They're already the guy that I want to use. I just want to confirm that for myself. So guess what, guys? When it comes to the trust level that these people have for you, it's very high at that point. Very high. You're not being evaluated based on your brand. You're being evaluated based on how professionally you handled that introduction, guys. And so that is what you are. So trust is inherited from that referrer, right, guys? So it's not from like you as a business. They have all that trust of you in you because of who referred you, guys. That's why. So, one delay or unprofessional moment, or you being too booked up, guess what, guys? That can instantly kill that deal. So you want to make sure, guys, that you have that urgency. You want to make sure that you're being as professional as possible, because it's high, guys. It's a layup. Like in basketball terms, it's the easiest shot to make. It's a layup. So what are some common mistakes that I see guys do? Guess what? They get so comfortable with these type of leads that they have delayed responses. They take over 24 hours to respond to these type of leads, guys, and that breaks that trust. And that happened to me one time, guys. Like, I had a guy reach out to us that we got referred to by one of our clients, and it was like, man, he emailed us, but I didn't get back to him for 5 days, guys, because our team didn't tag it properly. And that's still my fault, because I should have created a system, right, that tagged it properly. But at the end of the day, when I tried to contact him, he already had another company that he was already getting in the works in. And I was like, man, obviously that referral wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be, right, guys? And so he probably just saw and is like, man, if he can't contact me now, how is that relationship going to be in the future as well? So, asking, like, also there's other things like treating it like a cold lead. I see guys treat like, and it may be because, it may be the office admin. It may not even be the actual owner, but it may be the office admin or the salesperson. You're treating the referral, right, as if it's a cold lead. You don't want to go ahead and do that, guys. You don't want to treat it as if it's a cold lead. You don't need to, because it got referred at that point. So like you can have a more homely, more personable, professional touch to it. You don't need to treat it like a straight cold lead, like trying to sell yourself to these people. You don't need to do that. They're already sold because of the person that was referred to them. So that is what you need to do. And the biggest one that I don't think that you guys are doing, I don't think really a lot of estate cleaning businesses aren't doing this, failing to log the refer and reward them. So it's killing your referral culture within your company. Make sure that you reward the refer. Reward the refer, guys, because at that point they're going to refer you even more. Because one of the biggest things that people don't know is that, oh man, how did that referral that I gave this company go? They may not know how it went at that point. So if you don't go ahead and tell them, or you don't reward them at that point or show them that progress, then guess what? They may not refer other people. They might be a little bit more hesitant to, because they don't know if you're going to follow up with them. They don't know if you close them. They don't know if they're making an impact for you. So make sure that you reward them and that you're tracking these referral, these people that are referring business to you, right? And how to handle these. Right, so obviously you want to respond to these people immediately. You want to be professional. You also want to go ahead and have a referral system tracker, right? So referred by, right? You also want to go ahead and make sure that you have, in your CRM, you tag these people as like a referral in that sense, because you're going to treat them, a little bit differently than you would like one that found you on digital marketing or one that found you offline. You're going to treat these people a little bit different. And so make sure that you have that referral tracking in place, so that you can have a reward system for those referrers. Make sure that you're probably tracking them in your CRM as well, guys, right? And make sure that you're hitting up, make sure that you're not treating them like a cold lead. Those are the biggest things that you want to do when it comes to referrals, right? Now let's go to the next one when it comes to repeat customers, because obviously, guys, the intent on these, right, is very high. They've used you before. They know your they know your processes. They already trust you. So they're just looking to rerun the same service or extend. They might add some windows this time. They might add some paver sealing this time. They might add roof cleaning. You don't know, right? But the intent is very high. I don't really need to explain that as much, guys, right? When it comes to the trust level that they have with you, also super high, extremely high when it comes to repeat customers in that. You're not a stranger. They remember the results and they remember the experience that they had with you, right? So the only thing, guys, when it comes to handling these repeat customers, and I'm showing you guys how to handle them, right? But I'm telling you, one of the common biggest mistakes that I see is inconsistency, right? So common mistakes that I see when the people are handling repeat customers is price changes, which is fine to raise your price, but make sure that you communicate that properly to them, because mishandling that, guess what? You can lose a repeat customer to somebody else. Staff turnover, messy communication. Like if you have messy communication because you take for granted your repeat customers in that sense, guess what, guys? You'll lose them. So you don't want to go ahead and do that. And so also, one of the biggest common mistakes that I see as well is not recognizing them as a past customer during their first contact. Like, guys, you don't know how many times I've seen, the calls that we track our clients on, and the client's like, hey, have you used this before? They're like, yeah, I used you last year. It instantly, it instantly kind of loses that trust. So that's why you need to make sure that you're properly tagging this person, or you're having them in a CRM or another thing. Like some guys don't even have CRMs, and they just say like, hey, did I work with you at that point? And they're like, man, this guy doesn't even remember me at all at that point. And so yes, you may have hundreds of customers, but we're still looking for that one-on-one service in that sense, guys. Customers are still looking for that. So make sure that you're properly tagging, because that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see guys have, is not to have a CRM there, guys. The biggest thing, guys, is that you want to reference past jobs, so that even when you are tracking them, you're able to reference a past job and know what they got done. So you want to really be educated on that repeat customer as well. And that's how you're going to handle that repeat customer too. And so one thing that I see, guys, is that make sure that you have that in your CRM notes, so that you're saying like, hey, last time you got your gutters done, is that still kind of the same service? Or because if you're raising your price, you might say, hey, last time I know that you got your gutters done, this, that, and the other. This is our price change. This is why I'm justifying the price change. And this is what you guys want to go ahead and do. Make sure that you have those customer notes. Make sure that you recognize that it's a past customer. Make sure that you're tracking those things too, guys. So how do you handle these type of leads then at that point, guys? Well, the biggest way, like I said, is do those things that I just talked about earlier. But also when it comes to that, make sure that you have workflows set up, for certain time periods. Like if they get in gutter cleaning, you can do one in make sure that you give them reminders in that sense, right, guys? And so, you can set up CRM filters, right, for like last service date. So the last time that they got serviced in that sense, what was the service at that point? And then you can send automated reactivation workflows, right? So what does that mean? Like trigger 6-month reminders, 12-month reminders. So if they got a house wash done by you in May, make sure that you send a trigger one 6 months from then to say, hey, how's your house holding up, whatever it may be, check in on them. And then send another 12-month one, say like, hey, it's about that time again. So you want to make sure that you have these, right? Offer loyalty pricing or bundles, you know what I mean? So have some type of repeat customer type of like bundle or special or deal, because these people can end up being refers as well, where they refer your business or they get even more services from you at that point also. So you want to make sure that you're tagging as much information. And one thing that you guys probably don't know that I will say that's a gold nugget, I told you guys I'm gonna give you some gold nuggets on this one, is that you want to make sure that you have the technicians that went out there as well. Because guess what, guys, that's going to breed that trust as well, and even more repeat business, is that they see that same person do the same job, and they're going to even have even more confidence in that. If they're like, hey, Marcus, like even if they don't mention it, but they might even remember the tech's name, and they're like, hey, last time we saw that Marcus went to your house, we're going to have Marcus come back to your house again, right? And then at that point, guys are like, okay, I got that really good result, and that same tech is coming back to my house as well. So guess what, guys? It's going to breed that trust even more. That's why the biggest thing when it comes to repeat customers is, guys, guess what? Make sure that you're properly tagging them, right? Make sure that you're probably tagging them, and make sure that you have an automated follow-up with them to go ahead and maybe upsell them on different things, to go ahead and give them service reminders as well. You have the past details, so you know all about them also, and that makes sure that you don't ask them, are you a repeat customer? You don't want to go ahead and do that. So yes, guys, the next thing I want to talk about is business to business referrals. And so these are going to be like service partners. And what do I mean by that? So it might be your local plumbing company, and that plumbing company, when they hear that people need exterior cleaning services, guess who they refer? They refer you, right? And so when it comes to these type of customers that got referred because of like another roofer had referred your exterior cleaning business, the intent that they have is medium to high, because they obviously asked that service provider like, hey, do you know anybody that does exterior cleaning? And guess what? It's driven by a little bit of urgency, right? But guess what, guys? They often trust you because of the person that was referred. It goes back to the referrals again, guys, but they're still evaluating you as a person, as well. So that's one big thing that you want to have. So the trust level, it's usually like medium high, guys, but it can rise very quickly, right, if you're professional. You know what I mean? But if you're like kind of flaky or you have poor communication, it can end things immediately, guys. So make sure that you're properly going ahead and you're talking to these leads, you're being as professional as possible. You don't want to treat it like a cold lead as well, guys. They're not necessarily a cold lead. They already have that trust built up, from, guess what, the person that referred you. So common mistakes that I see is not attributing the lead back to the partner. So one thing that I see, guys, is like the referral partner. If you don't give it back to that referral partner, then you're not going to know if that referral partner is even effective, or you're not going to reward them properly, guys. And so guess what, guys, when it comes to this, you want to make sure that you're treating that partner, like a long-term ally. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that you're treating them like a long-term ally. You want to be able to reward them. It's like the referral system. You want to reward the person who referred you at that point. And so that's what you want to go ahead and do. And obviously don't take too long to respond. As I talked about earlier, guys, like common mistakes that I see guys make with these type of leads is they're like, oh, this person's already bought in. No, they're not. They still need to go ahead and trust you. And so at that point, make sure that you're hitting them up and that you're contacting them as soon as possible, right? And so you want to go ahead and document service quality to help them look good. So you want to go ahead and do that. You want to document, service quality, all of that, guys. So that you make that refer look good at that point. Like, man, these guys knew the best people, right, to go ahead and and refer. And so how do you handle these type of leads that come from, you know, those service partnerships in those different kind of ways? Well, create a partner specific tracking link, right? Whether it's a QR code, a URL, because this way that you not only can you track it so that you can reward them, because they're going to give you more business as well. And so also you're going to treat them differently because you'll be able to tag the customers that you also get from those referring partners as well, and then instantly get them tagged into your CRM as well, so that you know, right? And then even like have leaderboards for those people that refer them as well. Make sure that you have your own partner, like partner sheet, whatever it may be, so that you're also sending leads their way as well, so that you're not severing that relationship and it's one-sided. Make sure that you also have your own partner program too, with them included on it also, guys. And so one thing that you also want to do that a lot of people don't do as well is that you can give these guys like a URL, like these people that are referring you as a partner. You can give them a URL or even like a little sheet, like a little package that shows your before and afters, just in case somebody on the spot is asking about it, and make it easy for them to be able to carry around. Like, you don't want just some elaborate, like they're not going to carry that with them every single job, but something that they can put in their truck, just anything like that, like in like a couple of flyers, whatever it may be, to make it as convenient as possible for them to go ahead and carry around consistently, right, guys? And so that's something that you want to go ahead and do, whether that's tap cards, whatever that is, guys. And so that's something that you guys want to go ahead and do. And now last but not least, neighborhood chain referrals, right? So this is like those HOAs, those clustered word of mouth, like where it's like a whole neighborhood is like, this is our preferred partner in this area. And so when you get a customer that comes from like a neighborhood referral, like a neighborhood chain, like an HOA, whatever it may be, these people usually have high intent. And it's usually triggered by seeing you do a neighbor's home or after several jobs in one subdivision. So what are these type of customers, guys? These type of customers are going to be the kind of customers that you see whenever you're doing a job and they're like, hey, you know, can I get your information? I see you doing Billy Bob Joe's house. Can I get your information as well? And can I get an estimate too? So obviously the intent on these kind of customers, guys, are high, right? It's very high, because they might say another thing like, hey, I saw your sign at Mike's house, right? So just early, if you're doing it right and you have a proper strategy, guess what, guys? If you have like a yard sign or something, these people are the same ones that hit you up that are like, hey, I saw your sign on Mindy's yard, and I was wondering if you could also do the same thing for us as well. Or like, my neighbor just used you. Can I go ahead and like, use you guys as well? So guess what, guys? The trust level on this is medium to high. So like really it's been built on like visibility and just name recognition and just, comfort. Right? Just familiarity. So they're familiar with your business. So really, it's really built on just being familiar in that kind of area. You're not just a company, you're the one that people use around there. So you're the familiar, you already got credible, you're already trusted. So once again, don't treat it like a cold lead. Make sure that you're following up on time in that sense. And common mistakes that I see is not tracking or tagging the leads, as we keep talking about, guys. And one thing that I see that I'll just talk about, because all these other ones, like failing to follow up without urgency, these are the same ones that you guys already know, right? And not properly tracking it or tagging it, we know that as well. But what you want to do is, when you get these type of leads, guys, you want to go ahead and make sure that you triple and double down on that momentum. So when you're seeing people from the neighborhood hit you up like that, guys, that should trigger you to go ahead and do things like maybe run Facebook ads at that point in that neighborhood. Put out more volumes of flyers, put out more EDDMs in that area, because it's going to have an even higher impact, because they're already the look of the neighborhood. People already recognize your business. So that means that in that neighborhood or in that area, in that cluster, your marketing is going to be even more effective because people are already familiar with you. So you should double down on your marketing in those type of areas. And so that's what I see a common mistake, is that guys don't seize that opportunity. And you want to go ahead and seize that opportunity as fast as humanly possible, guys. So how do you handle these type of leads, guys? We talked about that, right? We just talked about it, and I kind of just talked about it right now. Seize the opportunity. Make sure that you're going ahead and, one thing that I see is like offer bundle discounts, right? So like one thing that you guys could say is like you could have a neighborhood bundled price. So have like a neighborhood specific pricing that everybody could have, because it's going to make them take more action and make them feel more special at that point, right? So you can drop customized door hangers, you know what I mean? So like one thing that I told you guys is seize the day. You could have like customized door hangers or whatever and just say, hey, we just did Mike and Holly's house, we did these people's houses. Guys, I was so cynical one time, guys. Well, not cynical in a bad way, but in a good way. But I remember I was trying this out and it actually worked very well, guys. When we did door hangers, is when we did junk removal, right? One big thing that I saw, guys, was that I had a door hanger at that point. You know what I mean? So we had door hangers and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna test this out. So in this particular neighborhood, what we ended up doing is we ended up actually putting a list of all the people that we worked with in that neighborhood, right? On that flyer. You know what I mean? On that flyer, because it wasn't a door hanger, it was a flyer, because it was much easier. We did it in Canva, but we did a flyer. We talked about all the people that we worked with in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, we just listed out, like, here are all the people that we've worked with in your neighborhood. Bam, 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 bam. Guess what, guys? That thing did really good. And it may have been because of the Facebook ads too, because I also ran a Facebook ad saying like, hey guys, you know, if you're in this neighborhood or whatever, like, we just did this home, and I was actually in the neighborhood, guys, right? You might see our yard signs. You guys also might see our, you know, our door hanger at that point. We just did this house, this house, this house. So it showed that credibility at that point, and it could have been the Facebook ad too, guys. We were properly tracking it, but they may have just saw the Facebook ad first. They may have taken action on the yard sign, whatever it may have been, but we want to make sure that we trigger those touch points, guys. And so overall, guys, when it comes to how to handle these leads, you can't, the main takeaway that you should have from this video is that, number one, you shouldn't treat every single lead the exact same, right? Number two is that your other marketing can supplement other things, as I just talked about right now. You could have like a flyer campaign, door hangers go out, and then you can also do Facebook ads as well. And so it's not just about the initial contact, it's not just about the initial marketing setup, but it's about a whole system and sequence of events of things that you want to do. So you want to make sure that, guess what, doing all of these things, guys, is going to build your brand at that point. So this video wasn't just about tracking like how to handle every single lead, guys. It's also about marketing as well, like how you can also market to those different lead sources also, guys. And so if you want more help with your exterior cleaning business, you know what I mean, and you want to have this problem, you know, guys, funny thing enough, if you want to have this problem of not knowing how to handle leads because you're getting too many, or, you know, you're actually getting leads, or you actually want to get leads inside your business, make sure that you did, you know, the description to where you can go ahead and contact us so we can see if we'd be a good fit working with you. We work with over 100 exterior cleaning businesses from all over in the United States to Canada. So this is something that we routinely and consistently do for our clients, and we consult them. And even for me, you might even be able to get on a strategy session with myself. We're going to go over the whole breakdown of your area and what you should be doing for your marketing, whether it's even digital or even offline, guys. I have that type of experience, you know, doing marketing not only offline but on the digital landscape, obviously. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, or comments, please leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.